Now it has identified the mud. And it's going to drive over top of it. And then it sits there and it just mops. Hello everyone, it's Just a Dad. Today we're going to do advertising versus reality with the Shark UV Reveal Robot Vacuum Cleaner. I'm going to see how well it does of identifying soy sauce, identifying crumbs, and doing a vacuum only event. These manufacturers are showing us some really extravagant advertising, and I want to see if it can actually do what they're saying it can do. I purchased these robot vacuum cleaners with my own money, I'm not paid for this video. This is home of the honest review. I'm going to give you my honest opinion on this. I review robot vacuum cleaners for a living, and after I live with them for 3 months, that's when I decide whether or not they get the Just a Dad approved sticker. In this video, we'll be doing the white glove test. I've got my advertising versus reality scorecard. You can find all of this on my website, justadadapproved.com. Now, Shark just so happens to send this really nice advertising guide, and I'm going to verify that this UV stain detect actually works. Now, if you want to find robot vacuum cleaners that have already passed my testing and I've lived with them at home, like the Mova P10 Pro, the Mova V50, the Roborock Curve X, check out my website, justadadapproved.com. If you purchase a product off of my website, I am an Amazon affiliate. If you click on the link, the product's not going to cost you anymore, but I do earn a small commission from the sale. I've reviewed over 200 robot vacuum cleaners, and I've purchased with my own money to give you my honest opinion. This is home of the honest review. I want to get you the best robot for the best price. Now, Shark has 5 things in their advertisement: obstacle avoidance, sticky syrup and soy sauce, large particles, corner testing, and the never touch base. Okay, it's time for advertising versus reality, the Shark UV Reveal. It uses a puff of air to blow the debris in front of it. It did an okay job. I'd like for it to do a little bit better. Not too bad, but it definitely left some in the corner. And then it blows it in front of it and eventually does pick it up. Okay, now it's going back and forth in the nice straight lines. The sensor on the front can identify dry particles, and it should go into a dry particle boost. We'll notice that by the lights turning like a blue on the bottom, which I'll show you. And what you're seeing now is that UV light, the purple light in the front, is turning on and off. That is normal. It doesn't keep it on all the time. It just turns it on for a little bit, then off. I've got the suction all the way to max right now. I should have done a lower setting, that way we could hear it go into a higher boost. Now it is flinging some of the stuff around. Okay, I think it's identified the particles by those lights turning purple on the bottom. So this is a dirt detection event. This is different than the front sensor. This is the sensor right before it goes into the dustbin. There's a sensor that goes across the air, and when it senses dirt particles, it goes into a dirt detection event. This was not the sensor on the front of the robot identifying it. It did turn the side brush off. And so we went into like a figure 8 pattern. So now we're back out of that dirt detective vent. It'll come back and get this in a little bit. Okay, we're in another dirt detection event. It's going to do a figure 8.
Cleaning mission complete.
Okay. There is quite a bit of dirt and debris on this floor. While it did an okay job, there is quite a bit, I wish it would have identified that. I thought it had a sensor on the front that could identify particles. Corners, yeah, it just lacks a little bit. Now we'll check its auto empty bin also. Sounds good. All right, let's check its dustbin. This is a bagless design. There's not many bagless robots. Yeah, its auto empty system leaves a little bit to be desired. There is that dirt detection sensor. There's like a laser that goes across here. You got to clean that one. So 2 little windows. So I was doing some more investigation. I don't think the sensor on the front, the UV sensor, does particles. I thought it did, but I know it does stains, which we're going to try that also. But so for particles, I guess it relies on that sensor going into the dustbin. Okay, advertising versus reality, the Shark UV reveal. We're doing mopping tests. So I've got soy sauce. I've got some muddy paw prints. I've got some dried on soy sauce. We're going to check its UV detection on these stains. So the first thing it does is it comes to your room and then it wets its mop pad by going in a circle. Now it's going to clean this room. I do have it on a vacuum. It's vacuuming and mopping. Now it says it can extend that side mop all the way to the wall, but it's not quite reaching the wall. And there is some leftover debris for the corner cleaning test. It blows a puff of air. It does an okay job. It could do better though. All right, so it saw some particle. UV detected something, so it's scrubbing. That's what those blue lights mean on the bottom. The UV detected a stain, which I didn't think there was a stain there. I do have it on the middle setting for stain recognition. Now it moves that mop pad back and forth. It does have an onboard water tank, and it can spray water on the mop pad. I have the water level on medium, which is there's only low, medium, and high. It's laying down some pretty good water. There was some leftover Cheerios and stuff here. What you're hearing is the water pump kick on. There's the UV light. It turns it on and off every so often. It doesn't keep it on all the time. Now, it never identified that mud, but it did mop the mud. Now it has identified the mud. And it's going to drive over top of it, and then it sits there and it just mops. It may kind of move back and forth a little bit, but that's a stain recognition event. There it goes back and forth. And we're going to check all these stains with a white glove when we're done. So now it's going back into its normal cleaning. Now there's the dried on. Really hard to see. It didn't spot it yet. It didn't spot that soy sauce. It did drive it over. So the wheels got in the soy sauce a little bit. Now it definitely identified that soy sauce. Now this next turn, it should identify. There is some dried on soy sauce there. It did not identify it. Now this floor is extremely clean. Okay, so again, there was dried on soy sauce there. It wasn't a lot. But I was hoping it would have recognized it. This is going to get a pass though for me. There is something special about that UV sensor on the front. That is definitely doing a good job. It's just everything else about the robot's old. The app, the vacuum part. Okay, here was the mud. It even did a good job in this crevice. That's clean. Here's the soy sauce. That's good. There's where the dried on soy sauce was. That's pretty good. Now it's going back to wash the mop. Now I'm going to do part 2. It says it has a never touch base. That's where I'm saying this is an old robot, because that right there is hard to clean. There's not a removable tray. And so the base station, the part that washes the mop pad, while it does an okay job of washing it, cleaning that area is kind of difficult. And they advertise it as a no-touch base. It's doing an auto empty event, and then it's going to wash the mop. Now, it's a little hard to tell, but I think there was a little bit of soy sauce left on that floor. I can notice a little bit of oil. And it does wash with hot water. It dries with hot air, but it's not real efficient with the hot air. It doesn't necessarily blow it right on the pad, and it takes a while. And even this process takes a while of washing the mop pad. Now, I stand corrected. I think it's going to go back and remop that floor. I don't think it's done. So this, keeping these robots straight is hard. So I think it's going to go back and do a complete remop on that room. It's definitely going to get a pass. Now, they really advertise this stain detect. Forgotten spills, yeah, but it's going to catch it all with the second. I needed to do some syrup. Caked on mud, it did good, but there's the big one. Hidden pet accidents like soy sauce. And the ad says it goes into hypersonic mopping. Well, it just moves the mop back and forth. I'm not sure if that's hypersonic. Okay, so it's not going back to wash that room again. This lags so much. That's one of my complaints with the Shark robot, is their app is just so old. It's just hard to use when other ones are so responsive. So let's go in. There's the mission report. I thought I was going to go back and remop it. It's not. View report. Yeah, it's just not responsive. I know it probably has to upload it and then download it. Okay, so there's where it mopped. It got the events. It said it got a stain detect. There was 2 of them. Oh, wait a minute. I stand corrected again. This thing just made a fool out of me. So I thought it was done. It's going back and cleaning. But see, it's just everything's lagging so much. I stand corrected. It is going back and remop, so it freshened up. See, I saw the word freshening up the mop pad, and that's what made me think, oh, it's going to go back and remop that area. And I'm targeting stain areas. And that's exactly what it's doing. So it's not going to remop the whole room, I don't think. I think it's going to go back to those earlier. It detected a stain there. Now, this is what we want a robot to do. We want it to pick up a liquid, capture it in the mop pad, take it back to the base station, wash its mop pad, and then come back and do a second cleaning. And that's what it's doing. That mop pad is nice and clean. I'll do another white glove test and we'll compare. That's what the targeting stain areas. Okay, now it's going to the second stain. Pretty sure, maybe not yet. Well, that is where the mud was. So it is doing where the mud was. Oh, it's doing a big area. Okay. I knew there was something special about this sensor on the front. I have not seen this before in any other robot. It is a good sensor on the front. Okay, it did find all those stains, I think, because there was a stain there, and there, and there, and it made like an L shape. Yep. That sensor needs to go in a much more improved robot. So the mud, yep, it's clean. And that is right where the soy sauce was. And that's right where the dried on soy sauce was. It knew. I think it can determine if it's a deep stain that it needs to clean it. Like, I don't know. A lot of times there's just so much going on with these robots. They don't. At least Shark did try to tell us quite a bit about this UV reveal. Oh, it's doing the crisscross pattern. Okay. It's doing the perimeter of that shape. And now it's going to do the crisscross. Yep. Wow. Yep. 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 It's good. It's good. Now there's the first pass. There's the second pass.
Cleaning mission complete.
Okay, we think
Going
it's
back to the base.
and it should be completely done now. That cleaning pattern that we saw, that's what it should do for large particles instead of the figure eight. The figure eight is not very good. When it senses dry material, it does a figure eight, and it actually isn't the best pattern to do. Again, that's an old design that they had a couple years ago. That's the original dirt detect. This is the new stain detect system that they've got in this. This is the Shark UV optical avoidance test. It's not going well right from the very beginning. It's only going to get worse from this point. That cable, it just could not identify it. Sort of gets tangled up into it. It definitely could pull it off the wall. But overall, it's going to be a fail for me for optical avoidance. Even though it's kind of avoiding those, it really needs to avoid that cable to get a passing score from me. Now it's just kind of finishing up. It is avoiding things, but that cables can be really hard. So I really do want to like the Shark UV reveal. It's an old it's a new sensor in an old robot. The base station I'm not the most thrilled with. It's got a lot of maintenance to it. I know it is bagless, and they say never touch, but I spend more time on a Shark base station than I do these other robots. These, like Roborock, has a tray that comes out. I don't mind changing a dust bag. It's less work. You've got quite a few filters to clean on the Shark. Dustbin auto empty was a problem. Again, that's part of the old features. Well, I commend Shark on that front sensor is amazing. I love it. Other manufacturers, I would hope, are going to try to copy that or try to do the same thing with it, because that actually really works. But your app is relatively old. The vacuuming is not the best. That figure eight pattern, that's kind of an old design of way of doing things. It really needs to kind of do a square or go back and forth. So I do have to live with the Shark. Right now, it's just not real high on my list. It's a flagship price. Sometimes it's priced $1,400. They do like to put their stuff on sale, but still, that's a flagship price. We can get so many more advanced features with a Roborock Dream or MOVA. Base stations that work, apps that aren't slow and old, and have a lot more features to help us clean our house automatically. So again, check out my website, justadadapproved.com. I got such exciting news coming on that website. All of this scoring, testing is going to be on there. Right now, it's got basic information with the robots that I highly recommend. You can go find them there with tags that'll take you to Amazon. I am an Amazon affiliate. If you click on the link, the product's not going to cost you anymore, but I do earn a small commission from the sale. But here, hopefully in the next month, hopefully by the end of May, That website is going to be so geared towards people that want to learn about robot vacuum cleaners. Once you own one, it's going to have all the parts, how to do the maintenance, and where you can find, I test generic parts. So if we need to save money, I'm going to help you save money. That website's just going to be the go-to place. Again, I've got so much information in my head from reviewing over 200 robot vacuum cleaners that I just want to share that with as many people as I can and help as many people as I can. So again, thanks everybody for watching. JustADadApproved.com.